If you were to look carefully at my NES collection, you'd find that a great many of the games are old arcade conversions. Games like Pac-Man, Defender 2, Mappy Land, Lode Runner, Donkey Kong Classics, and Joust. Ah, Joust. One of my favorite classic arcade games. Problem is, Joust on the NES is awful. So what do you do when you need a good Joust fix when playing the NES? The answer is to play a surprisingly fun and charming little game called Balloon Fight, one of the earliest titles to appear on the NES. There is a certain innocent charm to the early first-run games that Nintendo released for the NES, and Balloon Fight is no exception. As mentioned, this game plays a lot like the classic Williams hit Joust, but it holds up on its own as a solid arcade experience. The object of the game is to gain points by popping the balloons of the computer-controlled men. Tapping button A will make your player flap once. Holding down button B will give you continuous flap, so use whatever is more comfortable and gives you the best control. Like Joust, your player has to be above the computer-controlled opponent to pop the balloon. If it's the other way around, you lose one of your two balloons. After their balloon is popped, the little men fall slowly back to Earth with the aid of a parachute. Hit them again to cut their parachute, and they'll fall into the water. If they land on the ground, they'll slowly blow up another balloon, and if they take flight again, they'll be a little tougher to deal with, so get them while you can. After an enemy falls in the water, a little bubble pops out of the water, and popping them is good for extra points. Now, as mentioned, you start out with two balloons. If an enemy hits you from above, one of your balloons will be popped, making it harder to fly. The second pop plummets you to a watery grave, and you lose a man. Speaking of which, stay away from the water. There's a big hungry fish that will pop out and snatch you if you get too close. If the round continues too long, a lightning bolt will appear from the clouds and fly around the screen, so be sure to avoid it. After 3 rounds, there is a bonus round where you try to pop as many balloons as possible for extra points. Other than the main game, there is also a game called Balloon Trip. The goal of this mini-game is to try and pop as many balloons as possible while flying from left to right and avoiding the lightning. It's okay, just not nearly as fun as the main game. I'll be honest, Balloon Fight is one of my favorite NES games. A strange thing to say considering all the classics that inhabit the system, but I love the simple gameplay, colorful graphics, and lighthearted music. It all comes together for a classic arcade experience that seems harder to come by in this age of first-person shooters, RPGs, and fighting games. Balloon Fight is a worthy addition to any NES collection, and I highly recommend it. This is Atari Leaf saying thanks for joining me as I take a closer look at Balloon Fight for the NES.